Arroyo Roads, before every presentation, we would like to acknowledge that we are located in the land of the Esquimalt and the Songhees people, where their ancestors and families have lived for many years. And it's with gratitude now where the Indigenous and non-Indigenous people, faculty, students, current students and staff come together, where the past, the present, and the future come together. So welcome everyone. And we'd like to take this time to ask people to introduce themselves in the chat box. Where are you joining us today? Where is home for you? Maybe you are based in Canada, maybe you are abroad. So please feel free to share that information with us. Today we have a very exciting session for you. We are going to talk about our BA and BSc in environmental practice, and we have a few people joining the session with me. My name is Andrea Torres. I'm the student recruitment manager, and I'm going to be walking you through the session. But we have an exciting guest, Brynna. She's one of our grads from the BP program, and we also have our Dr. Ling. He's our program head, and you are going to be hearing from both of them very soon.
Yep. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
That is perfect. So the agenda for today, we want first to get to know each other. So now you know who are in the room and how we are going to help you and support you. And thank you, Rhonda, for the reminder. There are two more people in this room that you might not hear from them, but they are going to be very helpful. They are going to be sharing links and information with all of us in the chat box. Their name are Rhonda White, she's one of our enrollment advisors, and Nancy. Nancy is one of our education specialists. So if you have any tech issues, please connect with Nancy and she's going to be able to support you. And if you have questions, Rhonda is here for all of us. So as I said, we want to get to know each other. So thank you for all of you that are sharing on the chat box. So we have people join us from Yellowknife, welcome. Elmer, Timmins, Ontario. And we also have people from Lindsay, Ontario, Ottawa. Welcome everyone. It's a pleasure that you are here with us today. We're going to start with Brynna, as she is very kindly sharing some of her lunch time with us. And we are going to ask her a few questions. And after that, she has to leave to go back to work. So thank you, Brynna, for spending some time. And after that, I'm going to talk very briefly about Royal Roads University, about the program. Chris is going to walk us through the information about the program. And at the end, I'm going to talk about the application process. And if you have any questions, please type those questions in the chat box. If you have any questions for Brynna, please use the first half of this session to connect with her. As I said, she has to meet us halfway of the presentation. So with that, let's start our chat. So Brynna, can you share a little more about who you are and any information that you would like with people to talk about more about yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrea. I would also like to acknowledge that I am tuning in from the ancestral and traditional territories of the Songhees and Esquimalt people. And I'm very grateful to be here today. A little bit about my background. So I'm sure maybe some folks can resonate that mine has been very windy over the years. I actually have a previous Bachelor's of Science degree in kinesiology from McMaster University. And I completed that from 2014 to 2018. And then after I graduated, I kind of went through a period where I didn't feel super passionate about what I had studied, but I liked it enough, kind of worked on and off. And then something kind of hit me and I really got my eyes open to the gravity of what was going on with our climate and in our environment and biodiversity. And I felt really compelled to do everything that I could to learn as much about the issues and create a positive impact. So that kind of catapulted me to enrolling at Royal Roads University, which we'll get into later. But throughout that experience, I worked in a few different environmental nonprofits. I volunteered a lot and got a lot of different experience. So currently I'm the youth engagement coordinator at the Canadian Parks and Wilderness Society, so the BC chapter. And with that, I'm specifically creating a youth program where youth all across BC get to come together and learn about conservation in BC and also learn about Indigenous-led conservation. They'll also be able to interact with government officials and lobby for conservation issues that they're passionate about. So this is definitely not supposed to be a plug, but if you're interested about that program, we're actually looking for applicants right now between the ages of 18 to 27. And I know that a lot of you are here to enroll in this amazing undergrad program. So if you wanted kind of like a primer into like conservation issues before you start at Royal Roads, I definitely would recommend it. It's really cool opportunities and skill building experiences. And we can drop chats later. But yeah, that's a little bit about my journey so far, and happy to talk about it more.
Thank you, Brynna. You talk about you wanted to do something that you were more passionate and you want to create change. And maybe you can elaborate a little more. What drew you to the BEP? Like how those two worlds came together?
So it's kind of funny how I even found out about Royal Roads, but I think it just started with ads. I just started seeing like some ads about Royal Roads when I was just like on the internet. And I was specifically looking for environmental bachelor's degrees. As somebody coming from a 4-year bachelor degree, I wasn't super keen on the idea of doing another 4 years, especially if I had like certain science credits that I felt could be transferable. And I also had goals of potentially pursuing a master's. And so like, that's a lot of schooling. If you think about 2 bachelors, maybe a master's and maybe a PhD. And so I just was in Victoria visiting family and a flight got delayed. And I was like, well, I know Royal Roads is really close kind of to the airport. I'm going to quickly drive over, take a tour and talk to the admin office. And so I know that the program is not online, but it's a beautiful camp, or I know that the program is online. But I loved the campus. And what I really liked about the program was that it was very flexible for people that were coming in with potentially like some education under their belt. And even if you don't have that, it's still an amazing opportunity. And so it really just seemed to suit my life where I was. And the fact that I was navigating this like really stressful and unknown transition, I just felt really supported to be able to kind of leverage my past education and put it into Royal Roads and kind of see where it would grow from there. And I liked the idea that it was remote because that provided me with a lot of life flexibility. I was living in Toronto at the time, so it's not like I could really move to BC right away to do school. So it really just like fit well with my life. And when I was looking at the courses, I wanted to make sure that the courses were something that I felt curious about. Not necessarily that I knew what they were, but just that I was like, oh, that's something I would like to learn about. So I definitely recommend taking a look at the course syllabus and seeing if there are things that pique your interest. And that kind of all together definitely led me to know that Royal Roads was the right choice for where I was.
Thank you. I'm just curious to know, when you started the program, you have some expectations about maybe how it was going to look like. You were talking about the flexibility, meeting or fitting your life at that time. What was the most surprising part of the whole experience for you?
I think the most surprising thing is just how different I am from even 2 years ago to where I am now. My values, or like my outlook and my personal sense of fulfillment, feels so much different now that I've graduated through the program in a positive way, because I really had to take ownership of my own learning in this experience, and really like kind of take matters into my own hands, find opportunities. I had to put myself in like sometimes uncomfortable learning situations where I didn't know people and I felt like ill-equipped, like I didn't know enough to like have a seat at the table kind of thing. So I think the most surprising part was just how much I would learn from being at Royal Roads and the amount of opportunities that I would be exposed to, but also there's a sense of personal responsibility in there where you are really responsible, like you are in charge of your overall learning experience. So you don't really get super like spoon-fed along the way, but I think that that is the best type of learning because it really sets you up for better success afterwards. I found in my previous bachelor's degree, which was the 4-year program, at the end of it, I didn't feel supported in navigating this like new world after I'd graduated. And it was like really hard at that time. So yeah, I think just this entire program really just like shifted who I was, and I'm really grateful for it.
Thank you for sharing that. On the other hand, I'm curious to know what was the most challenging for you through the program?
Just really quick, someone just asked if I took the Bachelor of Arts or the Bachelor of Science. So I initially got accepted to the Bachelor of Arts program, but because I had a Bachelor of Science degree previously, I was able to get those transferred. So then I kind of like switched into the Bachelor of Science program. So that's the one that I graduated with. And so in terms of like challenges, there are a few, but I think definitely understanding that this undergrad degree is remote. And so with that, you have to be able to be accountable for your life. And what I mean by that is I'm the type of person that loves to take on more than I necessarily should. And maybe it's a little bit of like imposter syndrome where I feel like I need to be involved in more, I need to know more, I need to be doing more. So I think during my undergrad, I was volunteering. I was also working part-time and I was also enrolled in school. I wasn't in a full-time course load, otherwise it wouldn't have been feasible. So it was a part-time course load. But just like, it's so easy to have so many life things outside of school, but making sure that you make time to actually give yourself space to really be present in your lectures, to do your readings, to make time for your assignments and things like that. You are on your own. Like, it's not like you're in a lecture and people are looking over your shoulder. So that was kind of a new organizational skill that I had to really navigate. And also, like, if you put too much on your plate, you can get burnout. It can just feel really stressful. So just making sure that you're aware of that. And I think being in a remote environment, you're naturally less accessible to your peers in person, obviously, and sometimes there aren't a lot of Zooms. So it can be hard to make friends, but definitely like leverage those discussions that you have in your courses. I personally loved my discussions because you have classmates from different walks of life, which you don't necessarily always get. In my previous bachelor's degree, everyone was kind of the same age coming in fresh out of high school. And at Royal Roads, I found that I was like kind of collaborating with people that had kids and they had families or they worked in different sectors that I like never would have had access to. So it really gives you like a more holistic picture of just like the world in general and people's different opinions and like their different values. So that was really cool. So just know, like, to make friends, you do have to, you know, kind of like navigate that online space of like communicating with people. But it can definitely be done. And yeah, I've seen it happen.
I have one more question for you. And actually someone, as you were talking about the people that you're working with and that online learning, I got a question in the private message. And the question is about, you were talking that people were from different industries and different backgrounds. If you can expand a little more, what kind of people were in your class? Like maybe the career that they were taking or the kind of jobs they were doing. If some people have full-time jobs or if most of the people have like part-time jobs.
Yeah, you have people who were raising their family, and so they're raising their family while also being in school, which is like hats off to those folks. You have people that are working in mining or like they're working in oil and gas. So like they like bring such like a rich, diverse perspective to a lot of these environmental conversations, which are so important because they need to be included in this like, you know, talk of transition or just, you know, even just talking about environmental issues in general. You have people that have done career switches. So they could have been a school teacher and now they want to go back to school and learn more about environmental practice. It was just like very broad. So hopefully that gives like a little bit of a snapshot into that. I'm trying to think of other ones, but yeah, just like it was really great because you don't feel alone in the fact that like you changed your mind, maybe you went from one bachelor's to a different, or you went from one job to another. I think that's actually like the general flow for many people in life. Like we're all kind of transitioning. So it was like really nice to be in that type of environment.
Thank you. I got another question about when you were talking about the syllabus and the courses. Is there a specific project that you work in that you learned the most, or it was like the most interesting? And yeah, if you can share a project that you work in the program that you really enjoyed.
Totally. I think what I'll also mention really quickly, just I'm remembering now, a challenge is what's really cool about this program is the fact that you can take courses offered by different universities. So that's really great because I took courses at University of Victoria in biodiversity and conservation. I also took courses at Thompson Rivers University regarding like climate change science globally and regionally. And then at Athabasca, I took environmental impact assessment, which doesn't sound like super like amazing, but it was so interesting and I truly loved it. And I like utilized the readings even to this day. It actually like catapulted me into my like practicum, which I'll talk about. But anyway, so the challenge though there is the fact that you are responsible for ensuring that you get your transcripts from those universities, that you sign up properly through those universities. And I don't want to like underplay it. Like you need to set aside time to make sure that you are like creating your requirements to complete this degree. And sometimes it can be confusing navigating all these different universities like systems and application systems. So I like just wanted to like say that. But the courses that drew me or that I really loved at Royal Roads, I think the biggest reason why I chose to come was for the practicum availability. And so I don't know if many people know, or maybe everybody knows, but you have the option to do like maybe with COVID and in-person practicum. I don't really know what the ecosystem will look like in the future, but you can do an in-person practicum, or you can do a virtual practicum. So it's like a project or a research paper. And I loved that because I really believe in linking theory with practice. I think it's really important. So I ended up doing mine virtually just with COVID things, but I didn't really realize that I would be kind of doing the equivalent of like a master's student completing their thesis. I created a 53-page like research report on the state of the environment for Salt Spring Island, which is an island that I have personal familial ties with. So just that entire experience of like being responsible for doing so much research on many different indicators of health on an island really pushed me to learn so much more and to like expand on what I had been learning in courses, but like even more. And it kind of all came from me putting in a lot of grunt work, but it was really beneficial in the end. So that was a course I loved. And then I also really liked Indigenous ways of knowing. Coming from someone growing up in Toronto in like the Catholic school system, I didn't learn a lot about Indigenous histories and reconciliation and decolonization. And so I really appreciated having that baseline and that background, which has kind of furthered my relationship and journey with learning about decolonization and working with Indigenous communities, which is like very much a part of my job now. So I'm really grateful for that course as well. And that was one that really excited me.
Thank you so much. Next, Chris, as I said, feel free to jump anytime if you have a follow-up question for for her.
No, you're asking what I would have asked. So, and Brynna's doing a fantastic job. So it's really good to hear.
Good.
Brynna, I'm curious, like sometimes when we meet with new students, they always ask, can you recommend some, like, is there something I should know before I enroll in this program? And I think you already brought key points, like if you are thinking to take elective from other universities, you need to navigate those systems. There's an internship or a project available for you, but what would you recommend to anyone that is considering this program right now?
I would say like be aware of the fact that it's a different type of challenge in the sense that you really are responsible for your experience that you get out. Royal Road sets you up with like a really great container and a really great foundation to give you all of these experiences and to make them accessible. But it's really up to you to like do that research and to figure out what you think would be the best fit for you in your learning journey. And to make sure that you give yourself enough space to do that, like to navigate those different systems, to research different courses that you want to take, to look at maybe like a volunteer job that you want to have while you're doing this undergrad. I really recommend. And I think also like when you're doing your studies, professors might kind of name drop like organizations or like conferences that are super cool. And I know this kind of is a tangent from your question, but like take them up on that or research them and try and be a part of them if that's something that you're interested in, because I attended like it's called the Globe Conference. It's a conference in Vancouver for sustainability professionals, and I literally went as a Royal Road student, where basically everyone else was like industry leaders or like high up youth working in really cool nonprofits. So I felt like a fish out of water, but it was a really great experience for just putting myself in an uncomfortable position. So I think just before you go into Royal Roads, know that, this is a great learning opportunity for yourself to maybe put yourself in an uncomfortable position where you do have to do work to figure out what will work best for you, but it's so worth it. And it was really valuable. And I can say that now because I graduated.
Thank you so much for all your, for everything you have shared with us. I find it so valuable to see how people navigate the challenges and the opportunities and how our point of view shifts as we overcome them. And of course, graduation is the best way to overcome all the challenges and prepare ourselves for whatever is next in our journey. I just want to be very mindful about your time. And at this point, I would just want to ask people, if you have any questions, they will be the best time to type those questions. You can either put them in the chat box or send them to me to a private message, whatever makes you the most comfortable. But in the meantime, Brynna, anything else that you would like to add for people to know? Anything that maybe we're missing or I didn't ask you about it?
I don't think so. I think I like went on a few tangents if I felt like I forgot something, but let me check my notes really quick because I wanted to make sure I didn't forget anything. No, honestly, but I also think just, if you are considering higher education after your undergrad, whether it's at Royal Roads or somewhere else, and it's totally okay if you're like, no, I don't really see that happening, but just what I didn't do in my previous degree that I wish I did better now was just knowing that if you are applying for masters in the future, you will need recommendation letters from profs. But with that aside, like it can be weird to interact with your profs, especially since it's remote. You can't just like go up to them after a lecture. So you'll have to like email them or like ask them questions and develop those relationships in your courses. And I would just say like, just remember that that is important and also really cool for you to maybe get involved in work that they're doing, or they can put you forward into other opportunities. So just like, they're not scary. At least the ones I had were all super great. So definitely just like reach out to them, try and create those relationships, and that will really help you in the future as well.
Thank you. And as you were talking, we had a question coming through the chat box. It's a question about what did a typical school day look like for you? Were the most lectures pre-recorded and you went in your own pace?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I didn't actually have too many, if you looked at my schedule, I didn't actually have very many lectures in my week. So a lot of the courses I did was like a self-paced learning journey where you would have your week with different readings that you had to do and maybe like assignments that you had to do or a discussion that you had to contribute to. And those would all have a deadline on them. Like, you have to do this by X amount of time. So maybe it would be like 2 weeks or 1 week. And so it was self-paced in that 2-week period. So you would be responsible for doing those readings, contributing to those discussions when it sat right for you in your life, which can be a blessing and a curse, because if you don't plan and you don't update your calendar with all these different deadlines of all these different online courses, then you can maybe like lose track of it. So I didn't really frequently have lectures. And if I did, it would be like one course. I had a lecture every Monday at 6:30 and that would be it. And it would maybe even just be like a little check-in or a Q&A period. So most of the courses that I did just had online requirements that you had to do. But you had to, and you could go at your own pace, but you're responsible for like putting all those deadlines in your calendar.
Thank you so much, Brynna, for everything you have shared with all of us today. We're very grateful that you decided to spend your lunch time with us.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brynna.
Yeah, I hope you all choose Royal Roads. It was great. Okay.
And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week, Brynna.
Okay, thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye. So thank you so much to Brynna for sharing all that information with us. And now we are going to share a little more about the details of how things look like and expand some of those details that Brynna shared with us. So the first thing that I wanted to share is about the Change Campus Maker. So we are the Choka U Changes Maker campus. And basically what that looks like is our programs are inspired to develop leaderships at every level of the organization, just as an individual, and also making changes with our organizations, the organization that we are part of. So we want to provide courses and content that is relevant, innovative, and transformative learning experience for each of you. So that is how our programs are designed and developed for you to be able to apply skills back into the workplace, and of course in a very dynamic and changing world that we are right now. I'm going to walk you very quickly about our campus, because I know most of the time you're going to be working online, as Brynna said, but if you're in Victoria or you decide to come for a little visit, please feel free to stop on campus. Our programs have been designed since we started in an online blended environment. So we have been offering online learning for the last 25 years plus now. So we make sure that all the information that you are receiving is mindful, that you have that opportunity to connect with your classmates and create an online learning community that I know Chris can expand a little more about how that looks like when you are taking your class. That online learning community is going to be with your classmates and with your faculty that are going to be there to support you through that courses that you are going to be taking. So let's talk about how online learning looks like. I know Brynna already gave us some details, but basically the online learning programs are designed to give you as much flexibility as possible. Some of you might be working, some of you might be studying your family, or you are doing both. So this is going to be a combination of reflective activities, self-assignment, real life assignments, some postings that you have to do. Actually, right now I'm taking a course of railroads and I'm doing my readings, I'm sharing my thoughts with my classmates. I get challenged by my thoughts as well by the faculty, where they want me to expand more about what I'm learning, what are my point of view, and the ideas that each of us learn from each other.
And just if I can build on that, Andrea.
So
yeah, as Brynna suggested, all the online courses designed at Royal Roads, they are designed for you to take them at times that are convenient to you. So it's very unusual for there to be specific times when you have to be online. Some instructors do live sessions, such as Brynna mentioned, Q&A sessions or presentations, but they'll always be recorded for those people that aren't able to attend at the time. And Shakita's just asked a question as well. If we started the program online, are we able to switch to on-campus for the following semester or year, or vice versa? The Bachelor Environmental Practice program, Shakita, is only online. There is no on-campus option. In our School of Environment and Sustainability, we do have a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Sciences, which is either an on-campus or a blended on-campus and online program. So I think if you were very keen to do on-campus learning, you would probably be better advised to have a look at one of those programs, because no, the Bachelor of Environmental Practice is only an online option. Okay, I guess it's me now anyway, so let's carry on. Yeah, so as some of you may be aware, we have designed this program, and we in partnership with Eco Canada, which is Canada's environmental professional organization. And so the content of it, the curriculum, especially the core components of the curriculum, align with Eco Canada's occupational standards for the environmental sector. So it's very much designed with career goals in the environmental sector in mind. We could go to the next slide, please. So we have a number of types of people who come to the program. There are professionals who are already working in the environmental field. They maybe have, for example, an environmental tech diploma at a college. They've been building up some work experience and they want to upgrade their qualifications to a full degree. There are also those like Brynna who have started off their life in a different profession or field and want to move into the environmental sector. There are also those who, who are aspiring to management and leadership positions. The environmental and green sector jobs are rapidly expanding in both type and scope. And there's lots of, if you're interested in that, there's lots of research presented on the Eco Canada website that looks into the developing environmental careers that exist. And also people who want to take a second degree in a different discipline to the one they already have. So there's a very, very broad range of people that come and do the Bachelor of Environmental Practice program. So it's likely to be a good fit for you, whatever your background. Yeah, sorry, thank you, Andrea. We have two streams, the arts or the science stream. And which one is suitable for you will largely depend on your prior experience. There are, specific admission requirements for the science that require you to have some science credits already. But the core program, so that's the 30 credits of what we call Block A, which is a total jargonistic way of describing it, but there's 30 credits which are core, which are common between the Bachelor of Arts and the Bachelor of the Science, and that's primarily what we've worked on with Eco Canada for. If you've got more than a 2-year college diploma, you've got some 3rd or 4th year level credits, then it may be possible for you to transfer some of those into the program. Obviously, there's a limit to that. We only allow up to 15 credits to be transferred in. And obviously they have to be relevant to the Bachelor of Environmental Practice program. So it's not just any credits at 3rd and 4th, they have to be relevant. During your program, you can take courses from universities across Canada to broaden the options and the elective pool that we have, and that's what we call our Block B. So you have to take 24 or 27 credits. If you transfer up to 15, that counts against those courses. For the BA, it is possible to take all your program at Royal Roads. It's not actually quite possible to do that if you're in the Bachelor of Science. So if you're interested in the BSc, you will be taking courses elsewhere. And then to finish your program, you take either a practicum, which is what Brynna did, or a research paper. So that's 3 credits for the practicum, 6 credits for the research paper. And obviously we'll talk to you more about those when you start the program. But the range of opportunities, the topics that you can take is very, very broad. So whatever you're interested in, whatever opportunities you have, you can likely make use of those for those capstone courses. We can move on now, Brynna. So here I've got a couple of examples of sort of hypothetical students, but they're very much based on real people that have taken the program, of how they've navigated the BEP, how long they've taken, and what sort of courses they've taken, and those kind of things. So here we have an example, Cindy. She's completed 2 years of an undergraduate degree, and then decided to move on to other things, but wants to now complete that degree. So she's coming to the Bachelor of Environmental Practice to do that. She's taken the science stream. She's taken our Block A core courses in her 1st and 2nd year. Then she's moved to take on some elective courses at a variety of institutions for her 2nd and 3rd year, and then has completed a research paper capstone in her 3rd year. And then the second example we have here is John, who's has been working in the environmental field, but wants to advance his academic knowledge and get a higher qualification. He's got a college diploma, maybe didn't do too well. He had some issues and got a low GPA. But even though he didn't make our GPA requirements for admissions, because of his work experience, he was still admitted to the program because the work experiences he had sort of compensated for the low GPA that he got in his college diploma. He, because he's working full time, is taking a bit of a longer pathway through the program, so that the time he spends on his studies isn't quite such a full-time occupation. So he took his Block A core courses in the first 3 years, then took his elective courses over the years 4 to 6, and completed his capstone, which was a practicum, which was you can do practica in your current employment as long as the tasks that you're doing are different from your day-to-day job. So that's what John did, and completed the program in about 6 years. So a much slower pace, but that fit better for his lifestyle and still meeting his career goals. All right, we move on. So we have lots of faculty who are very experienced in the BEP program. Here are 2 examples. We try and contract with people who have both an academic and also professional background in the environmental sector. So, for example, Ed is an entrepreneur. He's a business owner and director of a publicly owned mining company, so has real world and very practical experience that he brings to his classes. Liza is also a very experienced environmental educator, has worked globally around the world on various different projects, so brings a huge wealth of experience from multiple different perspectives into her classes. And currently, actually, Liza is teaching our capstone courses. So at the moment, everybody comes into contact with Dr. Ireland. She's a very popular and really very good teacher. Okay, so how do you apply? Hopefully, we've convinced you that it would be a good thing for you to do. So what's the next step? Okay, so we've got a standard admission pathway, which most students come in on, where you have to have basically regardless of whether you're coming into the BA or the BSc, you need 60 credits of post-secondary arts or science with a minimum GPA of B from a recognized post-secondary institution. We should probably start taking off this completion of the Certificate in Environmental Practice program, because that hasn't existed for quite a long time, but still there are people out there who've taken it, and so that's another pathway into the program. But I don't think we see many people coming that route anymore, but just because it's there, it's there. For the BSc, it's essentially the same. But you need 18 science credits in that 60 post-secondary credit pool, 9 of which must be at the second year or 200 level or whatever your transcript tells us, with a minimum GPA of B. And we also have a flexible admission, which, as I've alluded to, means if you don't have that GPA requirement, then we can assess your work experience as sort of compensation for that. And there's a slightly more materials you have to send in to us, like we need to obviously see your CV and reference letters from people who can sort of speak to that work experience, so we can make that assessment. Okay, Jenna asks, do you still provide some courses that were previously in the certificate program? Gosh, I think so. To be honest, Jenna, did you do the CEP by any chance, or have looked into it in the past? But we haven't run that program for, I don't know, it must be getting on for 10 years, I think. Certainly hasn't been around for a while. So even if we were still offering some courses that were called the same, the content would be somewhat different now as well, just with the evolution of time. So there may still be some common courses, but I honestly can't say that with any degree of confidence.
I'm happy to take it from here, Chris.
Yeah, please do.
So now, if you're ready, we are ready for you. So how to apply? The first piece is you need to complete an online application. And once you do that, if you're coming from what we consider standard admissions, you will need to submit your official transcripts. A tip for you here, right now, since COVID, a lot of processes have changed within universities and it has become more a practice. So if you want, you can ask your institution, your college or university to send those transcripts directly to us. So you can kind of check that box. You just need to follow up and making sure that the documents have arrived. If you order the transcripts directly to you and you wanted to send it to us, please make sure they're in a sealed envelope. In the moment you open those transcripts, they are not official anymore. So maybe if you went to school a long time ago and you're still curious and you remember if you got that B, please request one for you and one for the institution. If you are coming through flexible admissions, we will ask you to submit a few more documents. The first one is a detailed resume. The detailed resume is when we want to know more about your education, any credit and non-credit courses that you have done. Maybe you started with programming business and then you start taking some courses in science. We want to see both. Maybe you have done 3 years at a college. We want to see all that information. We also want to know about your work experience. In the work experience, it's very important that you highlight the responsibilities that you have and the time period that you were working in each of those jobs. Also, please feel free to share any volunteer experience that you had, maybe working while you were doing your diploma or your other undergrad courses. And if you have done any non-credit programs as well, that information is important for us. So as you have seen, we are not expecting 2 pages. It can be more than 2 pages just because we want you to tell us your story. The next document is called the personal statement. And this one document where you are going to be able to tell us a little more about the story about who you are, how this program is going to help you to achieve the next goals in your life. And in our website, we have a specific requirements how that personal statement needs to look like. But basically, we're looking for that motivation. What is motivating you to apply into this program? At the end comes down that we want to make sure that we are a good fit for each other. And the last document are 2 letters of reference. They can be 1 academic and 1 professional. If you have been out of the school for a long time, it can be 2 professional letters. And basically want to make sure an external party telling us why they think you are a good fit for this program. If you feel comfortable, please share your personal statement with the people writing those letters so they have a better understanding of the why, and they can maybe expand some of those projects that you have worked together. And we have a few upcoming intakes. So we have May, September, and May and September for this year. And then for the coming year, we have January and May. This program has 3 intakes every year. So January, May, and September. And we have the deadline coming up very soon for the May intake, and that would be February the 9th. So if you have any questions, please feel free to connect with us and we can support you through your application process. Financial aid, we have an amazing team of specialists that will be willing and open to meet and connect with you. They can talk more about the loans, the awards, the research scholarships, and other funding available for you. Depending on the province that you are located, there might be different options available, as well as depending on maybe the industry that you are working. So if you have any questions, feel free to visit their website or call them to the local phone number or the toll-free number. And great comment from Rhonda on the chat box. If a deadline has passed, please contact the Enrollment Services to find out if it's a late application, application is possible. And if you want to connect with Rhonda or anyone from her team, we have 2 groups of people that will look forward to work with you. We have our enrollment advisors as well as our international enrollment advisors. If you are a student that is coming from abroad, I highly recommend to connect with the International Enrollment Services. as they are going to be able to provide some support and additional information about visas and other processes that you might need to put in place. We also have our WhatsApp QR, so if you have any questions, you can connect directly with us. So I believe that is my last slide, and we have also covered all the information in our chat box. Chris, anything else that you would like to add or share with people at this point?
No, other than I think to follow up on, I think Rhonda posted a comment about late applications and such like. It's also worth noting, because we do have 3 intakes, you know, you can always apply at any time and you'll be, put into the next intake that's still open. So there's no kind of, you don't have to wait until the deadline to apply. You can apply. We have a rolling process. So it's better to sort of get things moving rather than just sort of sitting down and waiting. Being that all the courses are online, it is often the case that there's late applications to an intake are very possible. So
thank you, Chris. As you see, there's a lot of flexibility around while you're in the program, and we are here to support you. Something I want to highlight is that we also have a lot of pathways agreements signed up with institutions across Canada. So if you are currently in your college, please feel free to connect with us and we can help you to navigate if there is a current pathway that you can come directly from your college to Royal Roads. So I would say with that, I just want to say thank you to Chris, Nancy, and Rhonda that were in the chat box helping us. And if you have any questions, Rhonda, myself, and Nancy or Chris, we are happy to connect with you. If you like to connect with a current student, alumni, or a faculty, we can always leverage and create that, set that opportunity for you to connect with other people. Oh, we have a question. Are any of these courses available to audit? I'm a senior that has a lot of volunteer experience with the NDP and Green MLS on Vancouver Island, mostly working with climate crisis.
I didn't quite catch the first part of that question. Are any courses available?
Are any of these courses available to audit?
Audit. Yeah, I mean, we have, most of them are available both to audit or general studies. Students who just want to come in and do a course for no, not towards a qualification. I don't know who the best person for you to talk to about, probably the Enrollment Services information. They'll be able to give you the process and such like that. Wonderful.
Thank you, Chris. So thank you, everyone. We hope you have a wonderful week and we look forward to see you hopefully soon. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks, Andrea.
Thank you, Chris.